Welcome to Harbor Highlights. Happy Monday. Today we have a special report for Women's History Month.
This and more, so stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Sebastian.
And I'm Tannery. To start our show, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today is the first day of the fourth marking period. Double check your schedule in case your classes have changed.
The month of March with Women's History Month. For this week, we have a special report for you about an important woman in our country's history.
Here is that report.
Do you know who Notorious R.B.G. is? Maybe you've heard of Notorious B.I.G., but today we want to tell you about an important woman in our country who recently passed away. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a legendary Supreme Court justice. In this interview, you will learn 10 amazing facts about this woman. She herself dealt with repeated gender discrimination. As a Supreme Court justice, she helped inspire change to give justice for all. First, let's talk to Ms. Zucker, who is a big fan of RBG. What is the purpose about the Supreme Court?
Supreme Court is a branch of our government, and it interprets the law for people, so it is the final say in interpreting the Constitution, and they want to create equal justice for all people.
Can you tell us a little bit about Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yeah, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born in Brooklyn, New York, and she went to college, which was a little unusual for women of that time period. She went to Cornell first, and then to Harvard Law School. And at Harvard Law School, there were only 6 women out of 500 people in her class. Professors would chastise her for taking a man's spot in this class. So
you felt you were constantly on display. So if you were called on in class, you felt that if you didn't perform well, you were failing not just for yourself, but for all women.
That year, Erwin Griswold was the dean of Harvard Law, and one night, he invited all the female students to have dinner with him. Ginsburg initially thought it was a kind gesture, but near the end of the evening, he asked each of the women to justify to him why they deserved the spot over a man.
He asked each of us to stand up and tell him what we were doing, taking a seat that could be occupied by a man.
In later years, Griswold said he had meant the question in jest. Ginsburg went on to become the first woman to be on the Harvard Law Review.
To make the Law Review in those days, you had to be in the top 25 academically of 530, 540. Her second year, she makes the Law Review.
But she worked hard, she did great, she graduated at the top of her class, and even then, she couldn't really get a job with a law firm after that because they didn't want to hire a woman, even though she's brilliant. And so she ended up going to teach law at Rutgers University. And there, during that time period, there were only 20 law professors that were women in the entire United States. So she was blazing a trail there, too. So while she was there, she ended up working with the American Civil Liberties Union and creating a women's rights group and started taking on gender cases that were discrimination, either for men or women. She wanted equality for everybody. And 6 of those cases ended up going to the Supreme Court, and she won 5 of them. So she was really at the top of her game. She knew what she was doing. She backed her all her cases with incredible law and justice and the Constitution. So she ended up winning many of those cases. That was all from 1973 to 1976, where she was doing those cases. In 1993, she was the second female to be added to the Supreme Court after many years of being on federal courts. She became kind of an icon because she was fiery, she was tenacious, she worked really hard, her work ethic was incredible. She had incredible dissents that she wrote during her time at the Supreme Court Justice. She wanted equality for everyone, no matter what. So that was her main purpose in life, and she fulfilled that. I mean, she worked hard, and everybody just really relied on her wisdom in those areas. So the iconic thing is she wore these lace collars when she was a judge with her black robe. And then the RBG, Notorious, came from her biographers. They compared her to a rap singer at that time. And at first she was a little offended, but then the guy was from Brooklyn and she was like, you know what? I am notorious, even though at first she was a little questionable about that word. But she embraced that, and then she took that to the next level. And so then T-shirts and people started just doing what she was doing because she was who she was.
Zucker, our principal, Mr. Bartels, had the opportunity to meet her. Let's go find out why. Why did you end up meeting the Supreme Court Justice?
Well, I used to teach law and government at West Idaho High School, and this is a few years ago now, but I was able to participate in something called Supreme Court Summer Institute for Teachers, and I got to go to Washington, D.C. for a week, and while we were there, it was about 50 teachers, one per state. We got to meet a Supreme Court justice that week, and the justice that we got to meet was Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Why was she so important?
Well, she was important for a couple different reasons. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. When I met her, she was very, very short. So I was it was weird when I met her because I was towering over her and I went to go shake her hand and she had these little white gloves on. So I was just very careful. I didn't want to felt like I was going to crush her hand. So I just kind of daintily shook her hand and got to meet her, which was really cool. She's important because for a couple different reasons. She's only the second woman to serve as a justice of the United States Supreme Court. There have been 5 total in the history of the United States Supreme Court, and she's only the second one. And she's important because of a lot of the things she did even before she became a justice. She was a lawyer for a long time, and she fought for the rights of underrepresented peoples for many, many years, and then eventually got nominated to the Supreme Court. So as a justice, she cared a lot about the underdog because when she was an attorney, a lawyer, she had represented a lot of those types of people in court before she eventually showed up on the Supreme Court. So there's more, but those are 2 that kind of come to the top of my head about why she's such an important person.
We welcome today Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
She's become such an icon.
Do you mind signing this copy?
I am 84 years old, and everyone wants to take a picture with me.
Notorious RBG. Yeah.
When you come right down to it, the closest thing to a superhero I know.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed the way the world is for American women.
I became a lawyer when women were not wanted by the legal profession.
Thousands of state and federal laws discriminated on the basis of gender. She was following in the footsteps of the battle for racial equality. She wanted equal protection.
Men and women are persons of equal dignity, and they should count equally before the law.
She captured for the male members of the court what it was like to be a second-class citizen.
The point is that the discriminatory line almost inevitably hurts women.
I did see myself as kind of a kindergarten teacher in those days because the judges didn't think sex discrimination existed.
She is a center of power on and off the court.
Every time Justice Ginsburg wrote a dissent, the internet would explode.
I came up with a couple slogans. You can't spell truth without Ruth.
Sex, like race, has been made the basis for unjustified, or at least unproved assumptions concerning an individual's potential to perform or to contribute to society.
I surely would not be in this room today without the determined efforts of men and women who kept dreams alive.
I've heard that she does 20 push-ups 3 times a week or something.
She works on her fitness. Even in her 80s, RBG takes her fitness regimen seriously, doing 20 push-ups a day.
They're real push-ups, right? They're not girl push-ups.
No, they are very real.
She said, quote, "I do 10, and I breathe, and then I do 10 more. But that's not the hardest part. After that, I do a 30-second plank." In 2018, she even did her famous workout routine with Stephen Colbert for his show.
I'm cramping and I'm working out with an 85-year-old woman.
If she can do it, we definitely can too.
Privately, Ginsburg also faced a number of health complications. In 1999, she was diagnosed with colon cancer, A decade later, she was treated for pancreatic cancer. In 2014, she underwent a heart procedure to have a stent implanted. Then came surgery for lung cancer in 2019. She remained a staunch advocate for women and minorities in the courtroom and beyond. Her life story even made it to the big screen, twice. The documentary RBG was released in May of 2018.
I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks.
It offered a behind-the-scenes look at her rise to star status on the High Court. And the 2018 feature film, On the Basis of Sex, starring Felicity Jones as Ginsburg, chronicled her early legal career.
If the law differentiates on the basis of sex, then how will women and men ever become equals?
RBG is a pretty amazing woman and a hero for paving the way for women in the workplace as well as interpreting the law for future generations. Netflix has some movies and interviews as well as the library books such as Notorious RBG. Check them out.
There are many women in our past history and in our present history that continue to overcome challenges to create change.
Now over to this week's general announcements.
Thanks, I'm Sitlali.
And I'm Julia. Here are this week's lunch specials. Monday is spicy chicken sandwiches, Bosco sticks, and Tuesday is hamburger chicken nuggets, and Wednesday is spicy chicken and Bosco sticks.
Thursday is chicken and cheese quesadilla with refried beans, and Friday is spicy chicken sandwich and pizza.
Don't forget to continue to vote for March Book Madness. Closing for voting on the Elite Eight ends 7 p.m. tomorrow. Here's some of the books that made it to the next round.
For you basketball fans, the NCAA tournaments are also underway as well. We wonder what the upsets will be this year.
Students, don't forget that all personal technology devices are required to be put away for the entire school day. This includes earbuds.
Not following this policy may result in the items being confiscated to the office for a parent to pick up.
Water bottles are still on sale in the office for $1.
Today is Group Picture Day, so if you are in a club such as the Middle School Play, Ski and Snowboard Club, Student Council, and more, please find out the time and location for this picture is happening today.
Now back to the anchors.
Just a reminder, students, that you should be making your class selections for next year. 8th graders, your class selections for high school are due today, so please make sure those are completed in Infinite Campus.
6th and 7th graders, your class selection sheets are due April 16. If you have any questions, schedule a meeting to talk to your counselor.
Now over to the sports.
Thanks, I'm Hugh.
And I'm Magali.
For wrestling, they have a meet Tuesday at home against Crestwood.
For boys swim and dive, their final 2 meets are this week, Tuesday against Hamilton Middle away and Thursday against Jenison at home. Here are the final games for girls basketball.
The black team is away against Grand Haven Monday, Wednesday home against Grand Haven, and Thursday away against Muskegon.
The white team is away against Holland on Wednesday and Thursday is home against Jenison.
Just a reminder that next Monday is the start of the spring season sports. Pay attention to the daily announcements for the location to meet and specific times.
Now back to the anchors.
Thanks. Typically around this time of year, we have our school showcase to welcome our new students to Harbor Lights.
Given the times right, now this will be virtual. This is encouraged for all current 5th and 6th graders since you will all be new to the Harbor Lights building.
Mark your calendars for March 30 to participate in that event. There will be a live meeting as well as virtual resources to explore what Harbor Lights is all about.
Thanks for helping us stay safe by wearing your mask and social distancing.
Keep showing that Panther pride. Since this week is the end of 3rd marking period, this is our 3rd hour's final show.
Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye!